So good morning, everyone. Happy May. I hope you're having a better morning than I am if you heard my broken down car story in our office parking lot. We are going to kick things off and get moving. Just starting, there's a lot of exciting things that have been going on with UWP. As many of you know, we had our conference last week. So it was so nice to see so many faces in full bodies in person and to be able to meet some of you. We had over 31 United Ways and some community organizations and just under 80 attendees at this year's conference. It was a great conference. I really hope that you all enjoyed it and walked away with a lot of great information, some good connections as well. I want to thank everybody who came together to make that happen, the Member Services Committee, our speakers, our sponsors. We really enjoyed the planning process and again, hope we got a lot out of it. We did do a couple new things this year. So we offered headshots as a member benefit. If you did take advantage of that opportunity, you should have received your headshots earlier this week. If you did not get a chance to download them or having any issues, just send me an email and we'll get that taken care of for you. There was also a conference survey that was sent out earlier this week, a post-event survey. Just take a couple minutes if you can to fill that out for us. We do appreciate that feedback. I'm going to pop it in the chat here. We do appreciate you sharing that information, especially as we look for future years, future training opportunities, all of those pieces. As you know, we're working on planning the regional conference next year, Northeast Regional Conference next year, as well as looking at our future events. So your feedback really does help us kind of craft what we look at for the future. I also want to take a minute and say special congratulations for those of you who may not have been there in person. Will Price was awarded our Distinguished Leadership Award for 2025. So I wanted to take a minute to just congratulate Will, as well as the other nominees, Ron Frick, Kelly Malone, and Chris Sayello. We do appreciate the work that you do in the community and just wanted to take a moment to say thank you again. So I want to take a pause and just leave some open space. If anybody has anything that they wanted to share, either feedback for conference or anything that they're taking away and really starting to implement in their communities or looking to implement, I wanted to take a moment to just kind of open the floor to see if there's anything anybody wants to share from conference.
I'm just going to share my thanks. I know I said this to Ashley and the team at UWP, and I know Will and member service. I mean, it was really a great couple of days, and I know I always take something out of it. Lots of things to learn. A little bit like drinking from a fire hose, but I thought you guys did an outstanding job. So thanks for the service and all the effort that you put into it.
Sure.
Yes, Ashley, I agree. You all did a fantastic job. Thank you so much. And I always enjoy spending time with my colleagues. My family, I like to call it my family. So thank you.
I too had a great time. I'm on information overload and we have so much to do. So we hit the ground running and I'm excited.
Thanks all. I will say as you take this information back and you're working through it, just remember UWP is also here. We're here as a support system for you. So as you're working through things and want to bounce ideas, talk through challenges, any of those pieces, give us a call, send us an email, and we're happy to be there to be a support system for you. One of the things that was announced at conference was a new partnership with Elizabethtown College. And you might have seen it come across on social media. I know they did a bunch of press with it as well. But I'm going to let Kim talk about a new partnership with eTown.
Sure. I had to turn my computer, so I have to grab the link real fast. Hang on one second.
I can put it in the chat, Kim.
All right. Okay. Ashley is going to put the link in the chat for you. But at conference, Elizabethtown College sponsored our social event. They were one of our sponsors. They were with us the whole time. So I hope many of you that attended conference were able to spend some time with Chris and with Marcy and then with Dave. They are very excited to partner with us. They came to us to ask, well, for a lot of reasons, but one of them being that they wanted to add United Way of Pennsylvania as an affinity partner to their list of partners. And we are able to extend that partnership to all of you, to all of our members. And so really what that means is Elizabethtown College, which is where I got my MBA from, which is how we made that connection with them. I was able to re-engage with their adult learning department, essentially, their graduate professional studies. They offer classes online. They do have in person in Harrisburg, Lancaster, and E-Town itself, but they do online classes. They do hybrid classes. They have a lot of different programs and certificates, but really what it comes down to is as part of this affinity partnership, we are able to offer a 15% discount for any learning that you would like to do. So if you were looking to get your master's, that is an opportunity through this program. Any classes that you have, and they also have a lot of certificate programs that they can offer, and that we can highlight some that are leadership, nonprofit leadership, financial classes, and those type of things that you all might be interested in. So again, it's a 15% discount. It extends to United Way of Pennsylvania staff, obviously, members, so all of you, and they actually extended it to volunteers. So they are being very generous with this partnership, and they are helping us to promote the work that we do within the United Way network as well. So Ashley did link both the document that explains the program in the chat, and then also just the link to the partnership page. If you have any questions or you have any trouble getting registered, please let us know. They are very responsive, and they would love to help you to get registered within those programs. I think that's it.
I have any questions on that? Okay. Well, we're excited to be able to offer that. And if you do have any questions or as things come up, please feel free to reach out with them. Thank you, Kim. So as we continue to talk about learning and education pieces, UWP has a couple of opportunities coming up this month. I'm going to go a little bit out of order in our agenda, but just in terms of date sake. The next UWP Learning Series will be coming up on Tuesday, May 20th. That will be from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And this is going to focus on, we're going to continue the conversation on disaster response and UWP's, or United Way's, UWP, and PA 211's role in disaster response. So Emily Obel from 211 will be talking about how to really build relationships with emergency services in your local municipalities and counties to enhance those emergency response efforts. Emily gave a great presentation talking about how we're seeing more disasters as we continue to move forward, and it's something that we want to be able to prepare ourselves with and position ourselves in a way that United Way is able to assist our communities. So if you are interested in that, I will put that in the chat here so you can go ahead and get registered for it. You'll see more information in the digest that's coming out on Tuesday. But this is great for anybody who's kind of interested in that disaster space, community impact staff, and leaders as well. The other training that we have coming up is a new opportunity that we're doing. It's going to be on May 29th, Thursday, May 29th, from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And United Way of Pennsylvania has partnered with York College of Pennsylvania for a nonprofit webinar. It's going to be for both our United Way partners, but we're going to extend it as well to our partner agencies, our grantees, really anyone who's interested kind of in the work that we do. And it's going to be focused on ALICE. So this training and webinar is called Supporting the Alice Population in Increasingly Volatile Times. It is led by Dr. Michelle Yoder and Dr. Laura Steck of York College. And we're really going to be talking about the evolving challenges of our Alice households and a couple learning objectives that we're looking at. So we're going to talk about outreach strategies of how do we connect to Alice households, really in fragmented service environments that we're seeing across the state. We're going to look at both the psychological and systematic barriers that prevent Alice individuals from seeking support, and really applying trauma-informed approaches to reduce that sort of stigma of asking for help. We'll look at evaluating potential impact shifts. As we know, there is an ever-changing environment of funding. So looking at how we can do adaptive funding models and collaboration between our counties and organizations. And then really look at how do we take all this information and tailor it unique to our communities. So this is something that we're really excited about. We had a couple United Ways meet with our colleagues at York College to share some of their thoughts and what they're seeing in their communities. And Michelle and Laura are really excited to be able to offer this. So I'm going to put this in the chat as well. Please feel free to share this information. I put the registration link there. I'll share the flyer in a moment, but you can, again, take this information and share it with your communities. And we also encourage you to sign up and sit in as well. Any questions on some of the training opportunities coming up through UWP?
Can I just add a plug on the emergency response training? So I think it's really good to try to tune in and be aware with the major changes that are being discussed and how disaster response could be handled, and a lot of responsibility being pushed down from the federal level to states. PEMA's director is regularly talking now about what that future looks like and how approach to responding to disaster will require a lot more public and private sector partnerships. And they've engaged us in some conversations about if or how United Way could support fundraising for disaster response in partnership with the governor. So this is a community impact issue. This could become a space where more United Ways have the opportunity to step up and be sort of a long-term recovery partner in the community as well. So this opportunity to learn more about how that world works will benefit local United Ways, and I'd say a cross-organizational kind of way. So just think about that. It may not be evident on the surface that that's what some of the value out of this conversation can be, but it is very real. And it's another reason to think about how you want to learn and potentially plug into this space in the future.
Can I just add, I really very much appreciate this because in Carlisle, we had about 2 months ago, we had a really devastating apartment fire, and I think over 100 residents lost. They all had the building is not habitable at this point. Red Cross was here for a few days, as they do. And we still have, because of our housing crisis in Carlisle, we still have some of those residents in hotels. The community tried to mobilize, but there was no one organization that could accept funds to fundraise for them. We ended up accepting gift cards so that we could give them to the property manager who distributed them. But because we don't do direct aid, we couldn't start now without a policy in place, or we would end up doing it for every disaster. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be somebody that's going to be in that long-term recovery space, because there really isn't anyone else doing that in our community right now.
Thanks, Kate. I know a number of United Ways have found themselves in very similar situations to you. So we're looking forward to be able to offer that and step into kind of to a new role. Okay, at this point, Emily, I think I'm going to turn things over to you to talk about 211.
Okay, super. Thank you. I don't have a whole lot. I want to thank everybody that attended the presentation. There were a lot of meetings that have come out of that to talk about some of this. Gail, I want to let you know, I looked into the CERT training, and while CERT training isn't being offered right now, I was given kind of a course selection that is pretty awesome. So I'm going to send that to you, and I'm also going to review it at the learning series, because this will be an important opportunity, a great way for United Ways to request that training sponsored for your communities. So that's coming, but you'll get it this afternoon. Also, I want to let you know that in keeping with our theme, you're probably all aware of the Southwest disaster, the windstorm that hit many counties in the Southwest region. We have been actively engaged with that and with Team Rubicon and others. So, it's just another opportunity for us to kind of refine the skills and identify the needs. So I will be including some of that. So just like you said, there's going to be long-term recovery needs when those folks leave. And there are spaces that United Ways can collaborate on. So otherwise, we are continuing to meet with communities. We have a great partnership unfolding in Erie with Project Launch, which is with multiple school systems and some other things, doing a kind of a closed loop information sharing data leasing agreement. And I am just really inspired by the work that they are doing there to help provide support to children and families, particularly in these kind of tenuous times about what's happening with education, what's happening with support for families. So we had a great meeting, and we're working on that. And we're also doing some work with the Heinz Endowment out of the Southwest region for workforce development. So kind of doing some really neat, varied, diverse things in our world. So I believe that is all I have at the moment, unless there's something I'm forgetting. But
do you want to share 211 posters materials will be launched soon?
Yes. I actually just got that link and looked at it. We are back up and running with the posters being available on our website. I'll pop that into the chat so that you can go ahead. We are going to continue to roll out items. So we have a selection up now. We're going to continue to add to that. So just be checking back, but that is up. That is now, those things are now available. Thanks for that reminder.
Any questions for Emily and 211? Okay, Melody, and do you want to talk about public policy updates?
Sure. Thank you, Ashley. Good morning, everyone. So the really big news this week that we're all really happy and excited about is that late afternoon on Tuesday, the Pennsylvania House of Representatives had a very bipartisan vote on a margin of 185 to 18 and passed House Bill 820. This is the Working Pennsylvanians Tax Credits, which is a state EITC bill. We're all very happy and excited for it. This was Chris Sappy's bill that would establish refundable tax credits set at 30% of the federal EITC. This was a team effort. We've been advocating for this for years. It passed the House last year. The previous bill was at 25%. This year is at 30%. But this was a team effort from a last minute push through the weekend last week and on Monday. With different local United Ways calling their lawmakers, Kristen's testimony in February, a press conference last month, partners' testimonies as well, making the case why refundable EITC for the state would help working families. And we're really grateful, as well as Representative Chris Sappy, just working hard for House colleagues, making the case, encouraging your vote. Last year, there was a much higher percent of Republicans who voted against, and this year it was almost all Republicans voting in support. So we're extremely grateful and excited. To those who register for Hill Day next week, instead of asking your House representatives to vote for the bill, you'll be saying thank you for their vote. If and there's a very small margin of this, if your House member did not vote for this, we'll just make a note on your folder, but I think it's a very, very small number. Next steps for the bill is that we'll be encouraging senators for their support in creating a Senate companion. Last year's Senators Schwenk and Culver were the prime sponsors for the bill, and we're working if we can have that happen again, but we'll keep you posted. But we're all very proud and excited. Moving very quickly to 211, Emily touched on this a bit, but Senator Joe Pittman's office reached out to us for resources on charging stations and water. You may not know he's the majority leader in the Senate, so he's a very important office. Myself and the 211 team were very quickly able to provide him a list. Thank you, Kim. Very quickly able to provide him a list of organizations and services within the hour to help him. And we were able to follow up with him via email with the resource page that 211 created for Southwest Pennsylvania for those who were affected by the storms. His office was extremely grateful for this and asked if they could share the page on their social media channels. And naturally, we said, of course, please share it with everyone that you know. And it really took off. We're grateful that they thought of us and they reached out directly. And we're hoping that it will help us with our asks next week. But ultimately, we're grateful that we were able to serve as a resource for lawmakers. And it's one of the ways that they think of us, NPA 211, as a tool for constituent services. So just following up on what Emily said, unfortunately, so much has been affected in Southwest Pennsylvania, but we're grateful that they're thinking of 211. We're grateful that they're thinking about PA 211 as a resource, and we hope that this continues moving forward in the coming days when they think about budget and funding. Very quickly on Hill Day, I won't spend a lot of time on this, but if you are registered for Hill Day, I'll be sending out your meeting list and the agenda for the day later this afternoon. I've already sent out the recording as well as the Google Drive folder with the list of all the leave behind materials that you'll receive in your packets for the day. If you have any questions, please reach out to me directly. I'm here to answer any questions you may have on legislative offices, legislative history of bills, your meetings, or any logistics for the day. Through this weekend, as well as on the day, and you'll have my, do you have an idea of the Senate timeline for the vote? Okay, thank you, Kristen. Sorry. I'm here to answer any questions, and I'll be available during the day. Our staff will be in meetings throughout, but if you have any questions, I'll provide my cell phone number. Feel free to text me or email me, and I'll try to get to any questions you may have when I can throughout the day. On federal policy, you may have heard, but last week, President Trump released his skinny budget, which outlines his personal spending priorities for fiscal year 2026. And unfortunately, his budget is calling for almost a 23% cut across the board for non-defense spending. This is on top of the DOGE cuts that we've already been seeing and experiencing since the start of the year. His budget is proposing cuts on education, housing, job training, and majorly in HHS, USDA. United Way Worldwide believes that since the budget document has been released, ESFP funds, ESFPH funds, I want to be specific, has been eliminated. It wasn't a complete line item budget where every single line item in the budget has been published. It was more of a high level funding budget. But like all budget requests, this is just his wish list. The Congress still has to go through and draft a full spending bill. And we expect that the president will release a more just the H portion, Amber. And so the president still has to go and publish a more detailed budget request, which includes a funding proposal for all agencies. And we anticipate that will have the actual line budget proposals. We're hearing some things that'll be later in May. We're hearing some things that this will be delayed into June. But once he publishes a more detailed budget request, that will kick off the official appropriations process. This is an extremely late budget. Typically, this happens in February, and Congress has until October 1st, which is the start of the fiscal year, to enact spending bills, or they have to start a new CR. So we will see what happens. This has been a very chaotic spending year, and no one really knows what's happening. Appropriators are still negotiating a lot of key points, particularly Medicaid, in order to fund a lot of the president's priorities. So I will try to keep everyone posted, but according to what I've heard from United Way Worldwide and other partners, they're not sure what's happening either. A lot of things are very tight-lipped and happening behind closed doors, because it would be politically contentious to discuss a lot of what they're considering to cut publicly, and lose a lot of public goodwill. That is my update. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Okay, sending it back to you.
Just speaking one thing about kind of intent, we're going to share some information about the president's skinny budget, but I really want to keep your attention focused on what matters most at this point. And so the president's skinny budget is the president's take on his budget priorities. What's scary about it, I think, at this point is we don't know enough about where or how Congress is going to come down. We are going to learn more about that in the reconciliation process. So what really matters for the next few months is federal tax reform, child tax credit, potential earned income tax credit expansion at the federal level, the charitable giving incentive, as well as the decisions that are going to be made on the spending side, where we have to keep our eye on Medicaid and SNAP, and some of these other priority issues that we've already worked on. So I would suggest that the skinny budget be used as an indicator for where you may want to be involved in coalitions for federally funded programs that are most significant in your community and in your impact work, from an educational standpoint at this point in time, from the standpoint of helping Congress people understand what the significance is of these federal dollars that the president wants to cut, and how they impact your community. So as we all think about how to focus our energy and spare our energy, and we know that advocacy is not your full-time job, that's sort of our approach to suggesting how you can keep everything in perspective and be, I'll call it pragmatically proactive at this point in time without spreading yourselves too thin.
Okay, if there are no questions, Kim, do you want to talk about Alice?
Yeah, I'm jumping in here to start to talk about the Alice launch. I know this isn't new information to many of you, as we have been talking quite a bit about the upcoming Alice launch, but then I will ask Kristen and Melody to fill in, I guess, anything that I might forget in this piece. But the main purpose of us chatting about this morning is because, as you know, the Alice launch is coming up next week. The national launch will be on the 12th, and then we will really focus our efforts on launching the Alice data along with our Hill Day event, but also we have a press conference that we will be very focused on, or we will be focused on the new Alice data as well. So most of our efforts are going into really a big push on the 13th, although we will acknowledge the launch with the national group that those things are available. All CPOs did receive an email from Kristen. I want to say it was the middle of the month. It was back. It looks like it was 4/18. So April 18th, you received an email from Kristen directly with the test site fair warning, the test site is pretty slow. It will be fixed when it goes to the live site. But please make sure if you haven't, go in, see the new report, see the new data. They have many of the updates that are going to be live starting next week that you can look around, get familiar with it to be able to talk in your communities. And then your local data is out there as well. So you can download your local county level sheets that go down to the zip code and the township levels for ALICE data. If you do see anything wrong, I mean, we have gone through many of the local level sheets, but you know your communities better than anyone else. So I would say if you do notice something that looks off to you, please reach out and let us know. We will have those conversations and support getting those updated if there is any issues. I do want to warn you as I say that there has been some changes in the methodology of how ALICE put the survival budget together and those type of things. So just be cognizant, make sure you're reviewing that methodology as part of your review so that you can better speak to those pieces in your communities. The thing that we really do want to encourage you to do, which I know you have all done in the past, is reach out to your local media. Think about how you can promote this new ALICE report, this updated ALICE data in your communities. We will be sharing a statewide press release in advance that you will all get that's embargoed, that you are able to use and however it is most helpful to you. So you can use it as a starter and update and put your own information in it, or you are welcome to just forward it on as it is to share this information at a statewide level. There is a sample local release in the marketing toolkit as well. You are welcome to use that one as well if you would like to. Ours will have a little bit more focus on things that either tie into our public policy or are some things that we know that we have been talking about in our state. So totally up to you on whichever one works best for your communities and for you to get that press release out. We're hoping for a big splash, as we have always had with the ALICE launch before. So whichever ones work would be great. We do also have a Google Drive where we have been dropping information for the ALICE launch so that you can all start to get prepared, start scheduling things. As things come out, we just actually got copies of the PDFs of your local county data yesterday afternoon. So we are going to continue to throw new resources up into that Google Doc so that you can access it as we get it. Hot off the presses. And so we actually are going to work to separate out your county sheets today, and then get our website updated as well so that you'll be able to share that information. I would encourage you all to lean into the marketing toolkit that was rolled out by United for ALICE. They did a lot of different things. They have some newsletters. They have newsletters, documentation. They have social media documentation. They have assets available. They have a lot of links to Canva stuff. I would encourage you to use it. It's actually very good and really aligned with the message that we have put out in Pennsylvania before. We will actually be adding a supplemental document to this that will really will be education opportunities for, again, the things that we are working on specifically here in Pennsylvania, that are things like that we've heard from all of you that you were most interested in promoting, and we will be doing some supplemental documentation for all of you that will be things that will focus on housing insecurity, rent burden, some workforce development things. And Katie is actually working on that supplemental toolkit. And as soon as we have it done and ready to go, that will also drop into the Google Doc. The state report is out there, and we have actually pulled out some of the template things just to make it a little bit easier to find as well on that drive. So we are here to answer any questions that you have this week, and to support you if you have anything that you're trying to figure out from either your local data or the statewide data. Please let us know, and we will continue to get you the information as soon as we have it in our fingertips. I can, Ron. I'm having a bit of a computer screen issue, so give me 1 minute. So I will drop the Google link into the chat. But does anyone have any questions?
Kim did a great job on that overview. I'll focus you on 3 more points. We have 2 things really that we're focusing on in the statewide press release. If you look at our ALICE numbers, there's been really no material change from 2022 data to 2023 data, at least at a state level. We are at 41% for 2022. That was really a rounding factor. So we're back down to 40 now, but the variability in the numbers is very small. So we're zooming out and we're looking at the trends since 2010. And since 2010, that's a lot more attention grabbing. What we see, the state's number of households has increased 7% since 2010. The number of households in poverty has increased 5%, but the number of households in above poverty, below the ALICE threshold has increased 17%. So we're zeroing in on that. And then we are zeroing in on the pretty alarming rent burden and home ownership burden numbers, which have never been great in any report. They've been high, but they ticked up several more percentage points from 2022 to 2023. And this fits right into a world where a lot of people are talking about affordable housing and what it means for not just households individually, but what it means for economic development. So that's the 2 main points we're hitting in our statewide press release framing. And the third thing I want to call your attention to is we're also going to be doing more niche storytelling about 211 and how 211 supports ALICE households. So part of the way that we tell this story and we know we're having a meaningful impact is through the growing involvement in disaster work. And then if you were not aware, the 211 team has been implementing a lot more standard data collection in the intake process at 211 that does include asking questions about household composition and income, which allows us to get to a reasonable approximation of whether a household using 211 falls in this ALICE category. So we actually have a dashboard that demonstrates that now. It is as good as customers are willing to give us that level of detail. And of course, they don't have to at the end of the day. They don't want to answer those questions. They don't need to. But we know that 211 is a place where ALICE households turn for help. 211 is also one of the few places that can get its hands around what resources are available in the community to have some more flexible funding sources that are not so driven by income qualification standards. So I would say those are the 3 things to watch out for and how we're messaging this. It may make sense for your community to follow suit with looking at that 10 or 13-year trend. But you'll be able to determine that and decipher that when you look at your county level numbers.
If no questions, I'll send it to Kelly to talk about any updates from United Way Worldwide.
Thanks, Ashley. Good morning, everybody. It was so good to meet so many of you last week at the conference. It was an awesome conference. So kudos to the team. John couldn't be here today. He's traveling down here in Georgia or Alabama somewhere. I'm not sure where he is this morning. But yeah, I'll try to be quick here. So just a few announcements. We are celebrating United Way to complete the Thriving United Way self-assessment by having a raffle every month for $250 to a $250 gift card to the United Way store. So once you complete your self-assessment, if you haven't already, you'll be entered into that raffle. So that's just a little incentive that we have. There will be a marketing and I should say also, this is all going to come out in the biweekly Reds newsletter on Monday. So you'll see all of this coming out on Monday. You should get it. So there will be a Marketing and Communications Advisory Council meet and greet at the Together We Thrive conference in Orlando. And there will be an RSVP coming out, information for that. I don't have the link for that yet, but it'll be coming out in the newsletter on Monday. There is going to be a webinar on the 12th, which is Monday, and I will put the link to this webinar. It's called Spring Cleaning with iGuide to Amplify Impact Stories. So I'll put that link. It's going to be at 12 o'clock on Monday. So if you're interested in joining that webinar. Let's see here. So just a couple of reminders, membership certification is due June 30th. So just make sure to review and complete your membership certification with your board chair this month before the end of June, the June 30th deadline. And the database 2 deadline is also approaching. As it's a membership requirement, it must be completed no later than June 30th. And as far as we're having our final global brand refresh cohort, it's scheduled to kick off in May and run through July 2025. So if you have not done that yet, you have another opportunity here, and it'll kick off, I guess. I'll put the link in there too, so you can see the information. And just a new exciting announcement. 14 local United Ways in the US are creating disaster preparedness materials and public education campaigns in a pilot project with Verizon. And it's going to generate customizable disaster preparedness content that the entire United Way network will be able to utilize. So I'll put the link there, and again, it'll be in the newsletter that comes out Monday. And that is all I have. If anybody has any questions. All right, I'll put those links in the chat here.
Thanks, Kelly. Okay, at this point, we want to open it up to all of you to share any challenges, exciting things that are happening in your communities, any questions?
I know I jumped on late, but I just wanted to thank you guys for being so welcoming at the state conference of my colleague from United Way of Southern Chester County. They have not been members of the state association, and we have not worked very closely with them. And the new CEO came in with a really great attitude, and so we had her come as a guest, and I caught up with her, and she just was so appreciative of how welcoming everybody was and how many connections she made. And I do think that they're going to join the association, but it was just really great. She's going to join me next week at Hill Day as well. But just want to thank all you guys for really welcoming her in. And also, I just wanted to mention, I just love how the network supports each other. We had an event last night called Pints for Purpose at a local brewery, and Bruce Friedman and Caitlin Wagner from United Way Worldwide both live in my service area, and Caitlin showed up to support us, and Bruce couldn't make the train from Worldwide in time to get back, but his wife and daughter showed up. We had never met them before. They just showed up and said, "We want to come and support you." And I just think that's really cool. And I just appreciate it so much, and just thought I'd give them a shout out.
Anybody else have anything going on that they want to share or talk about?
I'm going to just jump in really quick and thank the UWP team that helped those of us who were pilot organizations in the Too Small to Fail project. We had another conversation this morning with a local newspaper reporter about the kind of work that we're doing, and I just it's just been a really great collaborative effort, not only with our United Way and others in the Commonwealth, but also with everyone at UWP and folks at Too Small to Fail. So really excited about what that's going to lead to, at least for our United Way, and just wanted to give a shout out to the team for making that happen.
Anybody else? Okay, then I think we'll wrap up a little bit early here today. I know everything has been very busy and we're moving forward into the summer and things are continuing to pick up. So I appreciate you all being on this morning. If there's anything you need, you know where to find us. But hopefully we'll see you at Hill Day next week. And I wish you all a great rest of your week. So thank you.